All right, then time now for our Dark Phoenix review special. This is the latest and probably last X-Men film. Certainly the last of these characters for a long time.
For sure.
The Foxmen are now over. If you have not seen this film, get to your nearest theater, multiplex, whatever. Watch it, and come back and press play again. Or
we'll just wait 2 hours for you.
Spoiler alert! Do not pass go. Do not listen to this if you haven't seen the movie, or do. I don't really care. But you have been warned. Spoilers. All right, let's go around the horn, see what we thought about this one. Ben, you go first. Ben, is the microphone, please. You're better than that.
You've got to be dramatic.
Okay.
No, that's my thought. Yes.
Okay. Ryan.
I was pleasantly surprised how much I like this movie, and I cannot wait to talk to you guys about it.
Sparks.
It was a movie.
All right, Ryan, you and I are on the same side for once.
Really? Yes, Brandon!
Here we go.
Oh, I'm so happy about this.
Let's do this.
I can't believe... Real quick, I was so ready to hate this movie.
Me too.
And I kept waiting for the moment to go, when does this get bad?
Me too.
And we can both agree the villain sucks.
Yes.
Sucks.
Yes.
I pretty much enjoyed most of the emotional character stuff in this movie. That's not to say this movie is good, great, but the vitriol I've seen saying this is the worst X-Men movie. Hey guys, I've seen 3 or 4 worse X-Men movies than this. Mm-hmm. So take a step back.
I think this movie is better than Apocalypse.
Yes.
Than Origins.
Yes.
And The Last Stand.
Yes. All those things are 100% true.
Yeah. I had a good time.
Yeah. I really think you should watch The Last Stand again because there is no way this movie is worse than The Last Stand.
Last Stand wasn't the one I was making the face about.
Okay, good. Wolverine?
Also not the one I was making the face about.
I
already talked to you about this. I don't know that this is worse than Apocalypse to me.
Oh, yeah, it's worse.
Apocalypse is just kind of a fine film. It's a nothing movie. There's good stuff in it. I think the stuff with Magneto is good in it until at the end.
Both this and Apocalypse have bad villains.
Yeah, but I think Apocalypse just kind of exists and is just kind of bloated, and I don't really care. Whereas this one is lean. It's short.
It's pretty tight.
Yeah, it's a tight film. Now, to be fair, I don't think it's great as
no.
I think
all the praise I'm giving it to it's just me. I feel like I have to defend parts of this movie that people simply are just being someone's got to defend it. Someone has to.
I think it goes into the third act way too quick.
Yeah, that entire third act was reshot, and you could tell.
Jessica Chastain sucks.
She's Malekith bad.
Yeah.
She's Malekith bad. I feel so bad because she's like one of the greatest actresses of our generation.
Yeah.
And she's giving nothing to do.
Yeah. But I think there's a lot of emotional weight in this movie that honestly worked for me, and I was surprised at how much I liked the new cast.
Same.
With the exception of Storm. Don't care about Storm.
I don't think she had enough to do.
Yeah. When she starts talking, I was like, what is that? Is that accent from the last movie too?
Yes, but I would rather her try to do an accent like the character than not even have an accent at all.
Yeah, that's fair.
She's from Africa.
That's fair. But yeah, I wasn't crazy about Storm in this one. I did kind of like that it was just streamlined. Like there was just characters. There wasn't a lot of characters in it. It was just Scott, Jean, Xavier, Magneto, and all. Those are the best characters in the movie. Surprisingly, I liked Scott.
Surprisingly, I liked Mystique.
Didn't care about either of them.
I'm not surprised.
Now, see, I'll give you Mystique. I think that's where I think might be the only time you and I differ on this movie, Ryan.
I'll tell you what. If the marketing didn't sabotage its own movie,
yeah.
I think we would all have a better reaction because I do think with what little Jennifer Lawrence is given, she's the best. She's way better than she was in Apocalypse. She did not give a shit in Apocalypse.
Yeah.
And here, at least, I felt a little something.
I think it's kind of the Wrath of Khan syndrome. Like Leonard Nimoy didn't want to come back,
or Han Solo wanting to die.
Yeah, or Han Solo. Like I think it's kind of that where they were kind of done. They were sleepwalking in their roles, and then they're like, "Well, you can die in this one." And they're like, "Okay, I'm going to give it my all." Like I do think there is a bit of that. I don't really think. I have two minds. I applaud Mystique for being on this journey, having them follow the story arc to a natural place instead of forcing her to be a villain when they didn't structure her that way. This Mystique that way.
At first, I don't like the direction Mystique was given.
Yeah.
But now that we're here, Ben, the closest thing I can relate this to is the Game of Thrones finale. I didn't hate it. I was completely satisfied. I'm glad it wasn't worse. That's kind of where I'm coming at with this one. Mm-hmm. So like Mystique, I was like, I'm surprised like she's caring at all.
There are things like I liked Mystique as far as I like Nicholas Hoult in this movie. Like I like how Beast was talking to her about like hey, this is we're the last of the first class.
That was a good line. I like that line.
Yeah, I like that too. I like all the callbacks to First Class being my favorite X-Men movie. It was kind of nice to see them finally call back to that film. On the other hand, Beast has waited 30 years to talk to Mystique about how much they loved each other.
Time is the biggest problem of these X-Men movies.
Yeah, but there's things. So when Mystique dies, it's whatever. I don't care about. I don't really care that much about it.
I don't care that she died. I really enjoy the ramifications of what happens to Beast and Magneto.
Yeah, I like how they're kind of murderous, because they both loved her, and they like even Charles, and Charles can't admit that he's wrong. The stuff with Charles is pretty good in this.
Again, the reason I weirdly like this movie a lot is because most of the X-Men movies paint Charles Xavier as like this hero, this savior. Modern X-Men paint him as, hey, maybe he's not the good guy you think he is. Yeah. And I love that aspect because like instead of it being black and white, it's morally gray, and I really like that because they are children soldiers. Mm-hmm. They are children fighting these wars, and like that's what Mystique and Beast were talking about. Like we need to get out of this. We've been in this fight too long. He has these people. We should go be happy. Yeah. And look what happens when you get dragged right back in.
Yeah. So I've talked enough.
Yeah. I just wanted to get some pauses out of the way before we shit all over this movie.
Yeah. Sparks, so you have some thoughts, I'm assuming.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think I have a lot of value in this.
Should I start from the beginning and we'll just go from there?
No, I don't. Retreading through the film isn't necessary, I think.
I also agree we don't need to, but I do think the opening's pretty strong. I think the
too.
first 20 minutes, I'm like, wow, this is good. I'm actually really enjoying this.
Yeah, I do think the first 20 minutes are really strong.
I love the X-Men being heroes. I love he has a Batman-esque phone that calls the president. I'm like, wow, this is stupid comic book stuff, and I'm into it.
Now the turn, I don't like the turn. When it's all of a sudden like, oh, the X-Men are superheroes, yay, and then like, oh, the X-Men are bad. Let's round them up and put them in internment camps.
Gene attacked 3 police cars, all mutants bad.
Yeah. No, that was ridiculous.
Again, yes, I agree. So it is rushed near the end, especially with that stuff. But again, like the script, I don't think it's great, but it's the thing for me that saves us is the emotional connections between certain characters. Mm-hmm. Like Magneto and Xavier and Beast specifically, they are all like really, really,
they
really
are finally
good.
paying off the relationship that they built from First Class.
Yeah,
like you have look. It's stupid that this movie takes place 40 years after First Class.
Magneto is 62 years old in this movie.
Yeah.
Listen, like I'm over stupid. That. That is, I understand it's stupid. I'm not going to make that a negative in my movie. This has been a problem for 3 movies now. I'm over
I really wish I looked like that when I'm 62 years old.
Damn right.
Yeah, in a couple of years, he's going to look like Ian McKellen.
In 8 years.
Yeah, in 8 years, he's going to look like Ian McKellen. Like, but there are still things that, we're finally paying off the relationship. Like, let's just bounce around. The ending when the very last frame of the movie when Xavier and Magneto meet together in France and play chess together, that got to me. That hit me.
Me too.
I was like, yeah, they're friends. I love that.
As I do have problems with this movie, but that scene I don't have a problem with. Mm-hmm. I really like that because it was kind of a callback to the first X-Men film where Charles is playing chess with Magneto in his glass prison, but now Magneto,
but even like First Class, callback to First Class.
Very huge callback to First Class, and also I do like how Charles Xavier is kind of seen like the bad guy. He's there. He's like when Mystique is calling him out, I was like, look, you want all these accolades, you want all these medals, and he's like, no, it's to protect you. She's like, no, this is to feed your ego.
And then literally like 5 seconds later, he's like on a stage accepting an award. Yeah. Like he is so full of ego. Absolutely.
I think McAvoy and Fassbender again are great in this movie.
And again, like I don't think Magneto's given like script-wise a lot to do, but Fassbender is such a good actor. He does so much with his face. He's just a really great emotional actor.
And that final battle with Magneto and the aliens is so cool to see Fassbender do all the stuff with his hands with the magnet
I think most of the action in this movie is good. Yeah. Not great, but like
I think it's good. Yes.
I think specifically I really like Nightcrawler in this movie more than in Apocalypse. I didn't care.
They utilized Nightcrawler better.
Yeah. I wish Quicksilver had more to do. They
knock him out.
He is so
fast.
powerful, like they have to knock him out. What are you gonna do?
I'm glad they did. I couldn't deal with another Days of Future Past sequence. I'm okay with
this. Could just be my general dislike of Cyclops. I mean,
why do you dislike Cyclops?
He's a dick. Not in this movie, in like the comics and the other
What comics have you read where he's a dick?
Avengers vs. X-Men.
Okay, he is a dick.
Yeah, he's a dick in Avengers vs. X-Men.
I just want to make sure that...
To be fair.
Okay. No, yeah. That is the one, to be fair, where he is taken over by the Phoenix Force and he is literally super, like, terrorist.
Well, even before that, he was a bit of a dick to the girl, but that's not the point.
Yeah.
I've never really liked Cyclops all that much. The only thing I thought he was cool was that he shoots lasers from his eyes. Mm-hmm. That was it.
Mm-hmm. A concussion blast.
Mm-hmm.
When you're a 5-year-old, it's lasers from his eyes.
Not even that, but the movies are inconsistent on if it's heat or if it's blast.
Yeah.
So like it's whatever.
Yeah. Well, even
I
when
did like in the X-Jet, how he shoots it through the
That's so good and
That's
dumb.
pretty sweet.
I love
That is
it.
pretty sweet.
It's so
But even
stupid.
in the original X-Men films, he was pretty much of a prick to Wolverine the whole time.
Yeah, well, Wolverine deserves it.
Well, the X-Men films until this movie have not been kind to Cyclops.
Yeah.
I think this is the first time where they've ever painted Cyclops in a relatively good light.
Yeah, I mean, give me a good Cyclops book, then sure, maybe I'll change my mind. I didn't hate him, but there are parts of Ty Sheridan's performance in this one where I'm like, ugh, I didn't like that.
Well, yeah,
like,
Ty Sheridan's not the best actor.
Yeah. Well, also, like, one of the biggest things is when he's talking to Magneto and said, if you touch her, I'll effing kill you. I'm like,
Oh man,
Oh.
they gave Ty Sheridan the PG-13 F-bomb. They should not have done that.
No, they shouldn't.
That was bad.
I
This is the only time I cringed in the movie.
I get why they were doing it. I just don't think it worked out. I don't think they executed it well because
Yeah.
they want to show Cyclops he is so in love and he's so ready, like he's gonna turn into an animal, he's gonna swear, and like I get you wanted to show him being angry when it's like this kid saying it, like I don't buy it.
Yeah.
Ryan, you'll be happy. I just realized the one piece of media where I don't hate Cyclops.
What's up?
X-Men Evolution.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
young,
he's
younger
not bad.
Cyclops. Okay,
He's not bad. So.
baby, I'll give you the Cyclops book where he's hanging out with his space dad in space, and that book's great.
Yeah,
Okay, then.
I didn't. The last action sequence is good, but they dispense was the word I'm looking for with the new characters. The only two new characters they introduced in the movie. Pretty quickly.
Oh, her name
And-
is Selene Sparks. That
Oh, yeah.
bald mutant. Her name is Selene.
And
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought her death was hilarious.
yeah, she got buckied.
Yeah,
She straight up got- it's terrible. No, it's terrible. It's
Dumb.
awful.
I hate I was. Everyone in the theater thought I was crazy because I was laughing so hard.
No,
And
it was.
Whee! It's just gone.
Yeah.
I just straight turned to Sparks like, wow, she just got buckied.
Smiles at Magneto.
Yeah.
Even Fanny leans over. She's like, "What was her power again?" I'm like, "I don't know."
She's
They-
telekinesis.
What were you saying, Sparks?
I'll say what I said to Ryan, which is that I'm not looking. I am looking forward to now having a new aesthetic that when we introduce non-major comic characters to the X-Men and there's New Mutants coming in, that it's not going to be this always wearing black gothic have tattoos aesthetic of like, well, we're not good guys, but we're not bad guys. We're brotherhood.
Yeah.
I'm
Tattoos
over
and
that
leather,
look.
baby.
Yeah.
I'm over that look.
And again, like Simon Kinberg, like he did this already. Like, okay, despite the fact that he already made this movie again, right?
Yes.
If I'm just looking at this is its own movie. You did the same design aesthetic for almost all your characters.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why does Jean Grey have the red cloak again? Why do they have leather and tattoos again?
You know what else? Actually, something that I was shocked about watching the finale of this movie. As it's going along, the Phoenix isn't the bad guy.
Yeah.
Like I was flabbergasted,
Avuk and the Dabari, they're all shit and terrible. And you know what?
and they suck.
Yeah,
Their design sucks.
You could absolutely remove all the alien shit. This is the exact same movie. Just you have to rewrite a little bit. It's the exact same movie. Just have Jean Grey be your central force. You don't need an exterior force to come in.
But honestly, I'll say this as a positive. Like I think not making the Phoenix the villain of the movie was you did it before, you did it already. We're not doing that again.
No, I know.
And I appreciated the fact that at the end there is the turn where the Phoenix where Jean doesn't necessarily have control, but control enough to use it to actually fight the real villains.
Yeah.
And she's with the X-Men and she's
But the villains
protecting
like
them.
suck.
But the villains suck.
And their
There's-
plot
yeah.
is bad. It's
Yeah.
just like, oh, we want to use you to take over the Earth. Okay, whatever.
The better movie, and I said this in now as the last X-Men movie, for someone who likes the majority of this franchise,
Yeah.
I am sad that this is the movie that they go out on.
Oh, I agree.
Because this is not the movie I want them to go out
Hell
on.
no.
I want them to go out on a 2-part Avengers Endgame scale Dark Phoenix movie.
Yeah.
That's
Oh.
a 2-parter. Like
Or just end it at Days of Future Past.
or just ended at Days of Future Past. I think Days of Future Past and Logan were a good place to end it.
Yeah.
But now we got Apocalypse. But like if you wanted to do a 2-parter epic Dark Phoenix, first movie Phoenix, second movie Dark Phoenix, that's the end of the franchise. That would have been a good way to go out. You'd have to get a better writer.
No, I know. And the Phoenix Saga was told over 4 years in multiple comic books. Like, you can't tell the story in 2 hours. It's the fundamental fact that they just go straight to Dark Phoenix. There's an entire 2 years where she's the Phoenix helping people out, being
Yeah.
the super powerful. It's like,
Yeah.
it's just
And-
dumb that Simon Kinberg,
Kinberg. Yeah.
Kinberg, he just has this like hard on for Dark Phoenix, and I don't know why.
And it's because it's the most popular X-Men story, and so they keep going.
I
So they
get
keep
it.
going back to them. It would be like if Marvel couldn't get Infinity Gauntlet right, so they just kept going back to it.
So, yeah.
But they don't do that because they're smart.
Yes, they're smart.
But Simon Kinberg, he does avoid the same story pitfalls of the first time he did this, and I do kind of applaud him for learning that.
I do too.
But it's still not Dark Phoenix, and
It's not even.
it's not even close. And if you wanted to, and the thing is, if you take it out of the context of this is an adaptation of the Dark Phoenix, it's not bad.
Yeah.
As a Dark Phoenix adaptation, yeah.
Yeah.
But if you just take that away, it's not an adaptation of the comic.
Why were the students calling her Phoenix?
Yeah, there's no reason why.
Literally, there's no reason. Also, in Apocalypse, where she goes Phoenixy,
they retconned that.
That's completely. That movie just came out.
Yeah.
That's not like a 30-year-old movie.
Yeah. They retconned that idea.
Yeah.
Which is dumb.
Yeah.
Thank
so
you.
yeah, again,
A movie which Kinberg was part of.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's so
But
silly.
she wrote that
Yeah.
movie.
Like hell, we knew that we were gonna get a Dark Phoenix movie because of that scene of Apocalypse when Jean Grey uses her powers. Like
when she
frickin'
uses
A,
that,
we're gonna-
when she does that in Apocalypse, I'm like, oh crap, we're doing that again.
exactly. That was my thought too, and I was hoping maybe we get better, but this movie's
So there's my two favorite things about this movie, and they're not even super essential to it. But just for me as a big X-Men fan, like seeing it, and this is the last X-Men movie, we got it. Genosha
Yeah.
and Dazzler.
We got Dazzler this time.
She's in the movie for 1 minute, and it's the actress from the Orville.
Yeah.
But just her singing and seeing her representation of her powers, I'm like, this is the fun party scene that was supposed to be at the mall in Apocalypse that they cut out.
Yeah.
And this is like this is what I wanted. I wanted the teenagers to be having fun. Nightcrawler is teleporting students out of the house to go have a party. That's fun X-Men shit.
and
that's really good.
You know what? I really like Saoirse Ronan, Jean Grey.
Oh, Sophie Turner.
Sophie Turner.
Yeah.
I really like. I don't watch Game of Thrones.
all right.
Yeah.
I really like Sophie Turner as Jean Grey.
I wish she had.
Yeah.
I wish she was given at least another movie because, like,
Yeah.
I don't think Famke Janssen is also like the best Jean Grey, but like, what would she's given? Like, especially in X2, she's really good.
Yeah, she's
and like,
really good.
You know, that's one of my problems.
Yeah.
Is that we just get Sophie Turner, we just get Jean Grey in one movie, and that's Apocalypse, and then the very next movie we're gonna kill her off.
No, I know, and that's
We need more Jean Grey.
But for me, I think the legwork that Sophie Turner does in this movie, with a script that the
again
script's not great.
the emotional acting, like it overpowers how bad the script is.
Yeah, I think she is doing great work with the material she's given, and I buy her Jean Grey.
I do too.
I don't necessarily buy that we earn this Jean Grey, but I buy it.
Like the scene where she's crying in the alley after killing Mystique. I buy it. The
Yeah.
scene where she's angry about her dad.
Oh, she's rubbing off the blood.
Yeah. The scene where she's angry about her father. I buy it.
Oh, dude, the stuff with the dad is so good. I think
Yeah.
that's like truly, really like the best part of this movie. Because
Sophie
that is
Turner.
so sad.
Sophie Turner is not the problem in this movie.
No.
The big problem is that we get Dark Phoenix way too early.
Oh, when
and by
when
too early, I
Magneto-
mean too early after just introducing Jean Grey.
When Magneto says,
Whose blood is that?
I was
Yeah.
keep trying to ask whose blood that is,
That's-
and then he just goes into the thing. I know whose blood that is. I'm like, ooh,
It's a good line.
That is a
that's
good line.
good. That's good.
Michael Fassbender and James McAvoy do great.
And they give Michael Fassbender and they give Nicholas Hoult time to grieve over Raven's death.
Yeah.
I really like Michael Fassbender's just kind of like it that was Raven's dead, and just kind of him looking at the helicopter and like taking that moment. I like him a lot. In
The
that
scene
moment.
right after Mystique dies in the kitchen with
Yeah, I was
Beast
just
and
about to say
Xavier.
that.
And Xavier is trying to be his like, I'm Charles Xavier. Like, oh, this is really hard, isn't it, Beast? And he's like, Charles, this is your fault. You need to own up to your shit.
And he can't acknowledge it because he's like, I just buried my adoptive sister. What do you think I'm feeling? It's like
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
Because your ego has driven you far too far.
And again, it's so weird that this is such a thing for Simon Kinberg because Charles Xavier putting the blocks in for the Phoenix stuff is not from that run.
Mm-hmm.
That's a modern thing. But he just loves, and I don't hate the idea, but when you have like the Phoenix Force power and also that trauma, they're not necessarily tied together.
Mm-hmm.
So when you block off that trauma, but there's also this weird Phoenix Force thing, like it's a bad combo for me. You could have had one or the other. Like she's always been the Phoenix Force and leave out that father stuff, or you know what I'm trying to say? I'm getting
No,
confused.
I do want.
It's too much. It's too much for her. As a character.
It's difficult to.
I'm bad with words.
What it is a it's a holdover from The Last Stand.
Yeah.
Like it is an idea that Simon Kinberg ran with, and the aliens feel like there were a last minute to the script.
Which is crazy because like the way she gets the Phoenix powers, like it is in a space shuttle. It is similar, and the Dabari their place was destroyed by the Phoenix. So that stuff is true, but they're not shapeshifters. They're not out for revenge. They're in one panel. They were in one panel of the Dark Phoenix saga. One panel.
You really don't have to put your finger that close to my face,
I'm just.
Hey, so is Stryker. Stryker was in one comic.
No, but
he's been
in
in
an entire
15 movies.
No, but yes, but God Kills, Man Loves, God Kills is a great comic, and he is at least an entire character throughout the one book.
Yeah,
one panel.
But I'm just trying to say that.
No, I know
these people have a tendency to expand things far past them.
And again, I truly wonder if the Dabari, because like they look terrible. Those aliens look like shit.
Awful.
And I really wonder if it was supposed to be Skrulls at the beginning because the Bari are not shapeshifters in the comic. Like, if the Shi'ar were involved, like, because as we know, the last part of this movie was reshot, and it was going to be a giant cosmic battle, and it was going to be spaceships and Jean Grey blowing up spaceships, and they changed it because it was too similar to Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
I think that the sequence we got probably is a better idea than having just Jean Grey blow up a bunch of ships, because I think this is a more interesting combination of people using their powers in a small location like the train. And again, Magneto being boss, and Nightcrawler being boss, and the freaking hair whip guy. Whatever his name is, I thought he was silly and cool. He's whipping his hair back and forth, baby.
Sparks, you've been silent. Do you want to come in?
Sure. I don't really care too much for Jean Grey's character. I can't tell when she's doing something out of her own choice or when she's doing something because she's controlled by the Force or something.
Look at her eyes.
Oh, hey, yeah, great. I mean, but it doesn't track. It doesn't track for me that she just suddenly decides, I'm gonna attack military people and then throw Magneto to the side and then say, hey, aren't you gonna help me and all this?
I never got the impression that she was being controlled ever. I just kind of felt like they were that she was lashing out with that power.
It doesn't make when she's saying, I can't control this, I don't want this, feel genuine to me. Because it feels very similar to the Brightburn situation of, I don't know when you're playing it or when you're not. I don't know what is you choosing this and what is you being kind of forced towards this.
Me personally, I didn't see it, but like I guess I can get that.
It's not clear, and it made it so that everything about this movie felt like a lot of cliches that have been done before and better. Everything about Jean Grey's character and the I can't control this, blah, da, da, felt like things that have been executed better, both on, in some cases, and I'm not saying all the time, but in some cases on an acting level, and definitely on a writing level. And it felt that way about Jean Grey. I think James McAvoy is great sometimes, and then sometimes I think he's phoning it in. I think that the Charles Xavier being not so great of a person thing is cool, but we don't explore it enough. I think most things go unexplored enough in this film. I don't fully embrace Beast going into we're going to kill Jean Grey mode as the character that's presented in the films, because I don't totally buy that that's who he is up to that point. But I like the moment with him and Magneto. I don't know that I buy his character motivations to be there, but I like the moment.
Yeah. May I? I forgot what I was going to say. You made a point a little bit ago about something that I wanted to jump in on. You said that there are ideas in this movie that aren't explored. I agree. There are things in this movie that they just kind of touch on but don't explore, and I'm kind of two minds. I totally agree with you. I think the fact that this film is so short. It's probably it is the shortest X-Men movie. And it's an hour and 53 minutes. It's not even 2 hours. So it is definitely one of the shortest superhero movies ever.
It's weird to have a short, tight, even if like beside quality level, like something that's not 2 hours and 30 minutes.
Yeah, and the third act comes at you very quickly, and I think because of that, a lot of the it could be reshoots, could be writing. A lot of that leaves a lot of stuff by the wayside that it shouldn't. A longer movie probably would have dealt with some of the things. Maybe it was in the script and just cut out. However, I like this movie, and I feel like if it was longer, I would like it a lot less.
I think I agree, because like the stuff that I like I don't want them to expand and ruin it.
Yes.
Like enough things that I like were like
you
just tight enough.
You touch it enough to make me happy with I'm confident that you can touch this thing. I'm not confident that you can explore that thing.
Yeah.
And that I don't disagree with you. I'm not arguing that there should have been more length, but I am saying like my chief thing is we all agree that the alien stuff is bad. I wouldn't have even had them in this movie. I would have had this have been just a character piece focused entirely on Jean without the alien stuff in there and just about Jean and the mutants, and I probably would have liked the story a little bit better because that at least would have felt more personal and you would have been able to explore the connections between those characters, but the aliens rob you of all of that.
Especially because this is the first time in the X-Men movies that there are even reference of aliens. So it's like
this is First Contact, and it's not a big deal.
Yeah, they show up, and it's just kind of like, oh, aliens. The only thing that you really get is Charles Xavier being like, "What are you?"
Another thing,
and that's it. And these are aliens.
Reason that I think that the Skrulls might have been the first villains is because they infiltrated the CIA and all these other places. And I'm like, well, I know it's not Secret Invasion, but that's very clearly like the Dabari no one cares about the Dabari in the comics. So it makes me wonder if like the scrolls were being used. Like we can't do that, and we already have a shape shifting idea. We just have to utilize that, and like that sucks.
Yeah,
That sucks.
I think the script was edited after certain mandates.
And we got to
came
remember,
out.
this movie was shot over 2 years ago, and it had massive.
I know it was.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
Yeah, this and New Mutants were like around the same time.
Yeah.
I'm just like I can't imagine like what this movie originally was without like 2 years ago.
I certainly bet it was longer.
Yeah. I'll just say this, like, we have been talking about this movie and how much of a disaster it was for so long, and maybe
even me, who's high on the X-Men movies.
yeah. I mean, I'm more middle of the road, but I'm like, yeah, this movie's probably gonna suck. They've given me no reason. They're telling me Mystique's gonna die in the interviews, and even the cast members are like, oh, I didn't know we can just spoil that.
And the second trailer spoils it, and then Simon Kinberg does an interview that dropped the same day as the trailer and says, "Yeah, we killed Mystique because blah 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 blah."
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah, I truly believe, like, and again, I don't think the death is like great, but I do think if they would have kept that secret, it would have added more to the movie.
Sure, I can see that.
But sorry, what I was getting at is like I do think this is a bad-ish okay movie. There's a lot of stuff I really like.
There's more.
The 20% thing. Like I know, like Rotten Tomatoes isn't in all be all, but like
It's
I
harsh.
like it's. I think it is really harsh. I think it's pretty harsh.
Is that 20% right now?
Yeah,
No, it doesn't deserve it.
I think like this is not BVS bad.
This is Hellboy. This is Godzilla King of the Monsters. Like I feel like those movies. I don't feel like the scores that these movies have. I don't think the quality of the
and
film
that's not me saying
deserve
this
the
movie is
score.
like even an 8 or a 7, but
no,
like
absolutely not.
man, like a 2 out of 10. Like dude, like Birdemic has more quality than that. Give me a break.
Yeah, I don't. I think this movie lands better for me than even Apocalypse did, and I was kind of okay with Apocalypse. It was fine.
I think people were just ready to check out, honestly, and like I know,
There is an X-Men fatigue.
yeah, and like critics don't care, so like they have no reason to like try harder than like, oh, this is the last X-Men movie, like, yeah, it's not great, whatever, fuck it, whatever.
Yeah,
I'm like, man, like I get that, but also I think a lot of people tried hard on this movie. No one tries to make a bad movie.
I do actually think I do actually think that you can tell how hard people are working on this movie.
Like I think like Magneto is like phenomenal.
Michael Fassbender elevates every single bit of bad writing he's ever gotten in all of these films.
But
Yeah.
he never phones it in.
Yeah.
But
ever.
But I do disagree with you, Sparks. I don't disagree with you on a lot of things you said, but I do disagree. I don't think McAvoy phones it
I
in
don't-
ever.
I don't think it is.
Remember what I said. I didn't say all the time. There are scenes
No, I know,
where
I-
I
but I-
believe he is phoning
But
it.
I disagree with that. I don't.
That's
think he
fine.
does.
You're allowed
It's-
to disagree with
like,
it.
Man, I really like the scene when he comes in to see Jean, and he's kind of like, "Well, how do I phrase this? Here's a pen. You can.
Oh yeah,
You can
it's a gift.
You can write something beautiful with a pen, or you can stab someone in the eye. Either way, it's still just a pen. It's a gift. You can choose to do with that gift how you please.
And-
I like that scene a
Yeah,
lot.
and again, like to your point, Sparks, like that's the type of thing where like seeing Charles's ideology change from being like really wanting to help to being an egomaniac. Like I do wish that was explored more, but I got enough of it from this movie and the other movies and the older Patrick Stewart X-Men movies where I'm like, I see the progression and I really dig it. And like if there was another movie, that's where he truly becomes Professor Xavier that we know to this day.
yeah.
I really enjoy morally great characters like that.
There is a mistake that this franchise as a whole has made since First Class that I think this film does its best with.
Yeah.
And it's that kind of mishandling of the continuity with the decade time jumps. Like that's dumb.
Yeah, it's bad.
That's real dumb and
Yeah.
and needed to stop after Days of Future
You know
Past.
what? Like
But it does its best to not necessarily make it make sense, but kind of work with it.
just put some gray. Just put some gray in Fassbender's hair.
I know,
That dude is
seriously.
so handsome and young. Like, give me a break. At least try a little.
Ben, you didn't care much for this. Do you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, guys, go for it.
Okay. Before I'm done, I want you, all three of you, because you guys, I know you guys love to jump on me, especially you, to be quiet and
He
let me
pointed at me,
finish.
just so you
Yeah,
know.
to be quiet and let me finish what I'm about to say.
Mm-hmm.
My biggest problem with this movie is the ending and how it does screw up the X-Men timeline. I know we've talked about how the X-Men timeline. Just stop doing that, Ryan. Let me explain. I know people have been saying that the X-Men timeline's all screwy, but at the end of X-Men: Days of Future Past, we have Jean alive. We have Scott stayed alive, but Jean's alive and Professor and Charles Xavier is still the head of the school. And then Logan ends that timeline because Logan does go back, try to fix everything. Apocalypse and Dark Phoenix were supposed to be the continuation, so we got rid of the old timeline. I know it's screwy, but for me personally, just killing off Jean right there and having Beast be the headmaster and Charles take early retirement screws the whole thing. It screws it up for me personally.
Do you know how the Dark Phoenix saga ends in the comic?
No, how does
she
it end?
sacrifices herself, just like she does in the movie.
Yeah.
But she's also, it's comic books. She could come back.
Also, who's to say that we see her flying in the sky? Who's to say that she's dead? You don't know that.
And we do see the Phoenix
Then
flying in the
We
sky.
do see the Phoenix Force flying in the
Then
sky.
do we see
again.
Professor X come back as the head of the school, and they renamed the school back to Xavier School of Gifted Youngsters?
They
We
did
don't
in the
know.
comics. They could in the movie.
They do in the comics, yeah. When
They do
Professor
that-
X died,
They do that all the time in the
Wolverine
movies.
founded the Jean Grey School for Gifted Youngsters, and then 5 years later, when they rebooted the X-Men, it went back to the Professor Xavier School.
Yeah, but that's a reboot. It's not a straight continuation. These
Well,
movies
it
were
is.
to be straight continuation.
It is. Marvel has never rebooted in the sense that you've mistaken, Ryan.
Not
Like reboot, like continuity wise, but like, a new number one came out and it was back to the Xavier School of Gifted Youngsters.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing.
I think the timeline stuff's not important to.
I don't think.
movie.
Well, for me, it bugs me.
No,
It bugs me because
I
I wanted to watch
understand
Dark
that.
Phoenix because I want to watch Dark Phoenix and then go into like say X-Men 2000, and then just skip 1 and 2. Just skip 2.
Well, that wasn't. Never mind. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, that wasn't going to work just because that was old timeline that took place
Yeah.
before Days of Future Past, which means it doesn't lead to X-Men 2000 anyway.
Yeah.
Because
was
they
never going
changed
to.
it.
X-Men
because
2000 doesn't
all those
exist
events,
anymore.
All those events changed.
Yeah.
X-Men, that movie has never existed. Had stopped existing after Days of Future Past. Everything from the old movies doesn't exist anymore.
Then where do we get Logan?
Logan exists in the new timeline.
Yeah.
Don't worry about Logan.
Logan is also its own beast. Again, they don't care about the X-Men timeline as much as you do.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying you shouldn't worry about it.
And you realize that with Days of Future Past. You realize that with Logan, and you realize that with
Even First Class,
Deadpool.
a great movie that takes place in 1960. Just look at these characters. The next movie, 10 years later, you can just tell immediately there's already going to be problems with how old these characters
Now,
are.
I will say, if Days of Future Past was the end and then Logan, because Logan, James Mangold came out and said Logan takes place in the new timeline 5, maybe 10 years after Days of Future Past, the ending of Days of Future Past. Okay, I can buy that. Apocalypse, still buying it. Dark Phoenix, look, I gotta do some
Heavy lifting.
I gotta do a little heavy lifting, but I don't mind doing that heavy lifting. Jean Grey came back to life. Xavier was.
I'm happy to talk about timeline stuff, not on podcast. I'd rather stay on this film.
Right.
Okay. I'm happy to.
We're
do
never
that,
going to have
but,
another
like,
chance.
I'd
So this
rather
is the
talk
end
about
of the
film.
X-Men.
We can talk timeline stuff not on podcast, and that's fine. But I'd rather talk about the film.
Okay.
There are other things I'm sure that you didn't like in this.
Oh, yeah.
Besides the timeline stuff. That's what I want to hear.
Besides that, Quicksilver just being practically a one and done at the very beginning.
oh, thank God.
I mean, yeah, but still, I don't know. When we see Quicksilver in the beginning of the movie, it seems like he was much more prominent to the team. I didn't really like Eric going from I want to kill Jean to instantly going let's save Jean. That felt way too quick. Same with Beast. Like I get Beast is angry, but him was like, yeah, let's go kill Jean, and then I was like, now let's go save her. Way too quick. Just way too quick. And also,
I agree with that.
the third act just went straight into the thing. I'm sitting there and Jean's doing the whole move the train, and it goes to that spot where she kills Jessica Chastain, who I also agree sucks.
Oh man,
And-
how she kills the aliens is real cool though.
It is cool. It looks cool, but then it's like, wait,
Oh,
now
and
we're
her
just getting to this part right here.
Oh, and her hair is always kind of flowing like it's on fire. I thought that was cool too.
Yeah.
It was a cool effect.
Reminded me like I thought she was going Super Saiyan for a bit.
A little bit.
But there were parts, but stuff like that. It's like this is the Dark Phoenix saga, one of the biggest sagas in all of comics, and we're just gunning through it at breakneck speed.
And here's the part where I'm saying, if you're a regular person, you've never read the Dark Phoenix saga. So
Right?
Ben,
and
you've never read the Dark
no,
Phoenix
I
saga.
haven't.
So exactly. So like, sorry, I didn't mean. Just try to take it for face value, not the like. This isn't the MCU. It's not going to be
I
interconnected.
know it's not going to be the MCU, but I would have because we've done this before. Like you said, Ryan, we've seen this before.
Yeah.
My whole time, I'm sitting here thinking, what are they going to do different from Last Stand?
They
Not
do
a
a lot
lot.
different, actually.
They do, but still, the main themes are the same. He put up walls to hide trauma. He put up walls to hide the Phoenix Force.
Spider-Man always talks about Uncle Ben. Batman always talks about losing his father.
That's
no, I know.
That's
I know,
simplifying.
I know.
I will
Let
I
him
will
have
s-
his point.
I know. I'm kidding.
I will say you brought up themes. I think it's a good.
The music's good.
If you don't mind, I think the music
The
is.
music is good.
I think
It's
the
not
music is
bad.
good.
I had no complaints.
But there is a couple places where I missed the John Ottman theme.
Da-da-na-na-na.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I missed that theme.
I wish
that
it would
theme,
show up once.
That theme is only in I think 3 or 4 X-Men movies.
Yeah.
And I love it every time. Really sad it didn't show up in this one.
I will say though, I actively noticed like, oh, I actually really like the theme. I like the music.
Yeah. There's a chanting to the Phoenix.
I agree
I
with
like
that
the music too. But there's a moment, especially like when they're standing up in the train to protect Gene. I was like,
yeah, that would be neat.
That would have been cool.
Yeah,
I mean, that scene is cool, but it happens way too quickly.
I agree.
I'll so much echoing to what you said, Ben, is that they go for the simplest ways of resolving things. That it's that's not what Raven would have wanted. Magneto, yeah. I was sitting there halfway through the movie, and I thought I should have done a bingo card of the most predictable things that happen in most of the Fox X-Men movies, and I would have gotten a lot of bingo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the same things that not only have been done in this franchise, but done in a lot of the superhero films that have been done up to this point, they just kind of check over them, and it's just hitting the little dink. There it is in this movie. Here we go, box. And I just. I'm not here for it. I'm not that connected to these characters, both because the films haven't made me connected since arguably First Class, a little bit of Days of Future Past, but certainly not Apocalypse.
Almost a decade,
except
wow.
for Michael Fassbender.
Mm-hmm.
Like Magneto was the only person that came out of Apocalypse even having any kind of care about. I'm over the whole we like to save budget, so Nicholas Hoult keeps not wanting to be in beast form most of the time.
Yeah.
I'm over how many times that has been a narrative of the previous films, and we get to this one and it's still happening. And I'm like,
he
cool.
could change. He
and
could change
Mystique
beast
too.
form. Like he could change into beast form at will.
She changes into her normal self for no reason.
Just
I'm
to
like,
talk-
why did this happen?
Probably just to save money on makeup.
So that
Actually-
she could say, so that she Jennifer Lawrence could say the ex-women line.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? I do have a. By the way, that line comes out of nowhere.
Does it?
Yeah.
I couldn't tell.
It comes way out of nowhere. One of the things I noticed that when she turns into Mystique, there's a moment when they're all looking at the students like, oh my god, you saved it, blah, blah, blah. And then that's when she turns into Mystique and she kind of looks sad about it. I'm wondering if there was something there that the other students don't trust her looking like that. I wonder if there was something there. Oh, there's a real quick. This guy doesn't listen to the show, but there is a friend I went to college with. And one of the X-Men kids who talks looks exactly like him, and it really wigged me out. I was like, oh my god. Really weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this movie does not deserve all the vitriol it's getting. It doesn't. But it's still not that good. I mean, it's okay. There are parts in it that I like. I like the fight scenes in it. The effects are really cool. Sophie Turner does do the best that she's giving. So does James McAvoy. So does Fassbender. They all do. Even sometimes Ty Sheridan has some good lines, except the whole, you know what I'm talking about. It's just, I've seen this part of Dark Phoenix before. And I was really hoping for something new. I really was. Something different.
I thought the Nightcrawler and Quicksilver using their powers together was freaking so cool.
So
that was cool.
I didn't get to jump in on it earlier, but when you said like the opening 20 minutes, I was mostly on board up to that point.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started pretty hard falling off just because I don't feel like there's developed a relationship to these characters. If you're not bringing over your already comics care about them or a hardcore care about just this entire Fox film franchise, it's not really there as a film by itself. It's not there.
Yeah. I know I haven't read the Dark Phoenix saga. I know that. Would I love to read it? Of course I would. I just haven't found it in a training part where I can
Marvel Unlimited, $9.99 a month.
Well, actually, to his point, actually, it is interesting that I don't think there is a current edition of the Dark Phoenix trade right now.
Well, it's like 40 issues, so like you'd have to buy like an omnibus or something.
Oh.
No, I think you could probably do like a 2-part trade, like a complete collection,
A
which
huge
is like
trade.
20 issues each. I think you could do something. And I'm surprised that with this movie coming out, they didn't jump on that.
I mean,
Maybe they knew what they were getting, so like, nah.
But if there was like a soft cover or a trade of like the Dark Phoenix saga part 1, 2, 3, whatever. If there is that, of course I buy it. Of course I read it, so I could say I read it.
They should do a Chris Claremont complete collection.
I wouldn't be surprised
Yeah.
if that somehow already exists.
Yeah.
Really expensive.
Yeah, but sadly, I don't have it.
Yeah.
And sadly, I haven't read it. But I knew I knew about the Phoenix going into X3, the first one, and I didn't like it. And since I knew we were getting the Dark Phoenix this one, I was really scared. And unfortunately, my fears were somewhat confirmed.
You know what I preferred in this film than I did in the last film, in The Last Stand, was in this film, it was the Phoenix. In the last film, they used Jean Grey as a stand-in for Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I hate that. Because she has the powers and the look of Scarlet Witch. Whereas this one, they actually tried a Phoenix. It's Phoenix. And I did appreciate that.
again, I wish it's something that the Fox X movies have always had a problem with. Is just like super lean into the comic stuff, super lean. Like the Phoenix Force.
Days of Future Past is the only one that even goes close.
Yeah, like not to bring up Rise of the Silver Surfer, but like Galactus and the Phoenix Force are kind of similar. They're like weird space entities, whereas the Phoenix is an actual like embodiment of life and death. Like it's a physical creature that it takes. Jean's the only person who's strong enough to hold it. And instead it's just like a weird space force, but no, like not like it's weird.
I feel like when we're 4 films, if we just go with the prequel films, prequel-y
Like
films,
First Class and
you
up.
know,
First
First
Class
Class up
films,
to
yeah.
now, if we just go with those films, we're 4 films deep, and I should be able to care more about tertiary characters than I do.
Yeah.
This film doesn't play with them like they're characters I should care about. The only ones that they even try to make me think I should care about are Beast, Magneto, and Jean, which that's a stretch, and Xavier. Past that, everybody's treated like a set piece as a character.
Yeah.
They're not developed people. They're not developed arcs. They're not given anything of any substance beyond what, that doesn't feel like something I haven't already seen. Usually better.
Yeah.
There's just not a lot there to connect with.
Yeah, like the second Xavier says, I put in walls to protect her from the trauma of her causing a car accident that killed her mom, I'm like, yeah, you changed the words around, but still the same thing that Patrick Stewart did in X3. It's the same thing.
Yes, but I think that
Action is the same. The consequences are different.
yes, but I do think that doing what the version. Yeah, yes, I agree. He shouldn't have done the Xavier Wall thing again. But it still leads to the scene where she confronts her father and how devastatingly sad and tragic that is, and he does not care about her, and he's
the
scared
father
of her.
says, "I lost my entire life.
My life died
including
that night.
you.
Yeah,
Including you.
and for me that was worth it.
That was a strong moment. What I didn't like is that this is supposed to be indication enough that what he did will push her far enough that she will kill Eric. She's willing to kill Eric and pick him up out of a wheelchair and make him walk upstairs painfully.
You mean Charles?
I do. She threatens to kill Eric first, and then picks Charles up out of a chair and forces him to walk upstairs. And I'm like, I don't know that the character you're trying to tell me she was before this has been pushed far enough for me.
And I will agree with, again, they didn't. The Phoenix is a personality unto itself, like that Shazam book we read, where when you turn.
I know that's what it's supposed to be,
and I will agree that they don't tell us if it's an actual personality or if it's Jean. I will agree with that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the implication I get from the film is it doesn't make me feel like they don't give the Phoenix itself a sense of a persona, so it feels like it's supposed to be Jean, just kind of like
Jean Unleashed,
slightly with the devil whispering in her ear,
yeah,
which we've seen in comic book movies plenty of times. It's Eddie Brock, and I'm just not convinced that in those moments.
No, it is.
I'm just not convinced in those moments. I'll say that, yeah. I'm not convinced in those moments that I'm being told what kind of person, and to an extent the familiarity I have of her from Apocalypse, the kind of person she's supposed to have been for about a decade, by the way, is this person who will then be this willing to do the things she's doing.
Yeah.
They don't do the legwork to make me buy that, and that's a lot of why I just can't follow the story, because that's what it's about, and it's not developing it enough. You need to go harder into developing her in a direction.
You know what? And this is 9 years removed, but the First Class should have had Jean and Scott in it, and don't be 40 years of development. Have it be like 10, 15 years.
It's interesting because Matthew Vaughn deliberately, when they made First Class, he wanted to get away from those characters.
Yeah, I get that.
He didn't want to use those characters.
But half those characters are die in First Class and become like.
But that was now I've recently found out that Matthew Vaughn, if he came back for a sequel, which he was going to, wasn't going to be Days of Future Past.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That was supposed to be number 3.
Yes, I think that would have been better.
I think so too. I think absolutely that would have been better. So instead of Apocalypse, we would have gotten Days of Future Past and something in between. I think the Days of Future Past being a decade after First Class was a holdover from the original Matthew Vaughn idea of that's my third film. And those characters dying, because that's my third film.
Right.
So I think a lot of what happened in Days of Future Past, well, a lot of that kind of stuff that you talked about, is because that was supposed to be a third film in the trilogy, not the second film in a quadrilogy now. And that kind of goes back to a long time ago. We talked about how the X-Men films kind of felt aimless. They're never building to something, but they would have, with under Matthew Vaughn, built to Days of Future Past.
Yeah, man.
And I think that would have been better. And I feel like, and we said it again, hey, Days of Future Past would have been a better place to end the franchise anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I think you hit it pretty well. I do agree with like just the sense that this film, no matter what way I look at it, comes off as needless.
Yeah.
And there's a sense of joylessness to it. And I don't mean like it's not lighthearted or fun enough. I mean that I don't get a lot of joy out of experiencing it.
Sure.
There's a lot to that just kind of drags you down one way or another.
I wasn't bored, but my mind did wander every so often. I was just thinking of just sitting down, just looking at the screen and thinking like, man, a Wolverine cameo would be cool right here.
I'm so glad Wolverine wasn't in this movie.
I'm
now 100% glad Wolverine wasn't in this movie.
I
agree too, but once again, my mind was wandering during this film. It didn't grab my attention like Apocalypse or Days of Future Past did. It was just, once I saw the same thing, I was like, it's going to be a little bit different, but essentially it's the same thing.
No joke. Like, every 10 minutes or so, I'm just like, when does it get bad?
Yeah, same.
Honestly, I was just like, yeah,
Same.
Jessica Chastain sucks, but I'm used to comic book movies with bad villains. Like, we've had a couple this summer.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
when's it get bad?
That's the thing.
When's it get bad?
I was sitting there, and I was sitting there, and like Ben, I was looking at the screen, but I was watching the movie, and I was saying like, is it supposed to be bad? Is this supposed to be like? Am I supposed to walk out of this thinking this was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life?
I think a lot of people want you to feel that way.
Yeah, because there's a couple people I follow who's like, that was the worst movie I've ever seen in my entire life. I hate movies now. I saw that comment.
I have also seen a couple, just people are crazy.
And I'm watching this movie and being like, and maybe that's because I had low expectations going in, but I'm watching this movie being like, I don't see how it's that bad.
Even so, even like Sparks, you're negative on something, but this is not the worst X-Men movie, right?
No.
Okay, I don't need the ranking, but people are calling it not just the worst X-Men movie, the worst movie of the year, one of the worst movies ever made.
Oh,
I think
does not deserve that.
I
don't
think
so.
There's a lot of baggage with what the X-Men properties and the MCU and everything, so much personal stuff. And I'm just like, take a step back. It's not a great movie, but try to find there is some redeeming stuff in here, I think.
I was talking about this look, the lows are low.
Yeah.
But the highs are real high.
I would watch this over half the X-Men movies maybe.
I would watch this over Apocalypse.
Yeah.
And Apocalypse, I feel, is just fine. Just kind of exists. Kind of is nothing.
I hate the ending of Apocalypse. I don't hate the ending of this movie. I think the final Apocalypse battle is awful.
Yeah.
Magneto's just having whirlwind shit just all the time. Apocalypse is just standing there while dozens of X-Men attack him. It's so boring.
I don't care about that.
Yeah.
However,
I'm
didn't feel the same way about this one.
Marvel Ultimate Alliance team-up attacks on a train fighting these ugly again, the villains suck, but the team-up attacks were so fun. And seeing Magneto have a dozen guns pointed on Jessica Chastain, I'm like,
oh, man.
This is cool X-Men stuff.
that was pretty sweet.
When Evan Peters is like, when Nightcrawler bamfs, and then Evan Peters quickly gets everyone into the bamf. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
Yeah, I don't think this movie's terrible. I had a good time.
One, I'm glad someone else liked it at least because I was just ready to be like, shit, man, I'm about to have the fight of my life here. But I'm just glad
when I saw your tweet, I was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah, I'm again, Game of Thrones finale. I'm just glad I was whelmed. I'm glad I was satisfied. Again, this is not the way I wanted this thing to go.
As an ending, I am not satisfied. As a movie, I am.
It's fine.
It's fine.
I've definitely seen worse this year.
Yeah. Yes.
So yeah.
Why don't we? So, anything else you guys want to add, or should we get into final thoughts?
Dazzler's awesome, you guys.
So final thoughts. Sparks, you want to go first?
Sure. I think the action scenes are good. There's some nice moments. I don't agree with you that the highs are high. I think the highs are medium, at best. I find it dull. I find the whole film dull and devoid of any real impact to me as a viewer or to even the larger franchise as a whole, where these characters are supposed to have come from before. Almost feels unimportant, even in reference to things like First Class, where they go hey, we're the guys left from First Class, and it's like, yeah, but what are you even doing with that? Not really doing anything, honestly. I don't get a lot out of it, but I've been burnt out on Fox X-Men for a while, so maybe that's part of my bias, but I imagine that there must be some some truth to the fact that it's dull since so many people don't like it.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
So 5. It's middle of the road. It's just middle of the road.
Damn, that's actually way higher than I thought you were gonna give it.
No, I'm not. It's not the worst. I don't think. I don't think it's utter garbage.
No, I know.
It's just. It did need to be made. I didn't need to see it, and I don't need to see it again. To be honest.
Yeah.
I really want to see it again. Ben,
I thought about
going again. Ben, why don't we go to you next?
I really tried to think of reasons why I really did not like this movie when I got out of the theater, because I didn't want to just beat that guy who was like, I just don't like it, and not give any reason as to why I didn't like it. And I have to, it's dull. Like echoing what Spark says, it's pretty dull. My mind went in and out of the X-Men of this film, and it does not deserve all the vitriol. I did not walk out and think I hate movies now. This is definitely not the worst X-Men film.
I'm never watching a movie ever again.
Yeah, that's bullshit. This is definitely not the
Man,
worst.
This is the movie that did that to you. I got some news.
You should watch more movies.
I mean, seriously, this isn't the worst one, Origins, but it's still not the greatest. It's still low on the list, but I would definitely, maybe I'll give this another watch after some time. I don't know, but I'm definitely not going to seek it out. I would say it is middle of the road. I mean, if you like the X-Men, the ending I don't agree with, but I do like the ending shot. I like it a lot. But it's a 5.5. It's middle of the road.
So 5.5 and 5 for Sparks.
I'd like to just add a little point that I thought. If you knew you were going out and you were done because Disney, Fox, all that good stuff, I would think that you would want to go hard. Just go nuts. It's your last time out.
At the time, this wasn't the...
No, for sure. But I mean, like, even then, you had some idea of this being a writing on the wall because it was already a hard deal to get Fassbender and McAvoy to come back.
I just listened to the Empire podcast with James McAvoy, and he's saying he would have come back and did another one if this Fox thing didn't happen.
Yeah.
And he said, like, when they made this movie, there was not even writing on the wall about the Fox merger deal. So.
All right.
Yeah, if we all remember when the Fox merger deal was first being talked about, it came at us quickly and unexpectedly. For like everyone was kind of like, "Oh, excuse me." Ryan, so final thoughts from you?
Yeah, I'm just glad it wasn't a train wreck.
No, it was. You should have seen the third act.
Oh, you're right. Sorry, I saw Captain Marvel instead.
Missed it by that much.
Yeah. I'm happy that I got some emotional character stuff like from the X-Men. Like, there's certain things from the comics that that each X-Men movie give me, and this gave me my morally gray Xavier. Like, maybe he's not the savior we all thought. And for me, I'm a big fan of that. I would give this like a 6.5. It's not great, but like, shit, man, there are worse X-Men movies for sure.
You actually went a lot lower than I thought you were going to go.
Yeah. Again, guys, like 6.5 is not a bad score.
No, not on our scale. It's not.
Look, we're not the American school district.
Yeah.
Where it's like, what, 50% of all of the numbers are failing?
Yeah.
No, screw that.
Yeah.
I echo. I'm happy to see. I think this might be one of the rare times that Ryan and I are alone in this.
It's a once in a blue moon kind of thing.
Yeah. So this was kind of fun.
Yeah.
I was happy to be on the side with you.
Yeah.
I was pleasantly surprised with this film. I had a good time. I liked a lot of it. A lot of it worked for me. Kind of stuck with it between a rock and a hard place right now because if any of you follow my Twitter or my Instagram, you'll know I redid my Godzilla King of the Monsters score from an 8 to a 6.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, man, every movie is its own score. Don't judge the last movie on same score.
Yeah, but I think the Godzilla King of the Monsters score, I think that might have been too harsh too.
Yeah.
I think I might with Godzilla be sitting at a 7. But this, I think I'm going to go with Ryan and say it's 6.5.
Yeah.
I think 6.5. I'm comfortable.
Yeah, man, it's
with that.
almost a C.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like almost good enough to be like, man, hell yeah, I'd go see that again immediately. Almost.
Yeah. I mean, I'll own it.
Yeah.
I'll own it and I'll watch it.
Yeah.
I think it's all right.
Give me more Dazzler and I'll buy it.
All right. So shall we move on to our book club then?